think so. Yes, it says the stream is live.
All right, we are live, guys. The Mystic Sisters, aka the Wickedness Mystic Sisters.
Weekly wrap up. What are we?
That's what it seems like, right? The wrap up.
It kind of is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? You know, when you throw the astrology in and then you reflect on the week, you're like, oh, that's what she was talking about. That's why I have to, like, if I'm at work, I sneak out, I have to listen to your astrology in the morning, because I'm like, okay, so how am I going to sort of predict,
right,
you know, with what's going on? And I always have to know where the moon is.
Yes. Yeah. If you have to know, but often you probably do. You probably wake up and it's like, oh, the moon must be in, right?
Yes.
So I want to welcome everybody who's ever happens to be here. If you are, say hi, because we don't know. I'm sure there's a button that'll tell you that, but we haven't found the button yet.
Yes, Martha is here.
Martha's here. Hi, Martha. So, what a week. What a week. You know, I keep thinking to myself, like, I see things and I have these imaginings about how things are going to work out.
Yeah.
But it's not that I don't trust my intuition. It's that I don't want to get disappointed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because I had a sense that she was going to wipe the floor with him. Every fiber of my body, you know, but you know, there's all the hype and this, that, and the other thing. And it's just it ends up being exactly as I imagined it would be. Like when they were choosing the vice presidents, I think, you know, which one. And I thought to myself, wow, I really like this guy Walls. And then I started listening to the pundits, and they were all like in with the guy from Pennsylvania, Shapiro, right? And I was like, I don't know. I think she needs like having two prosecutors. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So she ended up choosing Walls, which I thought was best suited for her energetically and then astrologically.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, I was right. And then I was thinking to myself, well, she's going to decimate Trump. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, I don't know who you know, I mean, maybe it might have been a fight like in 2016 when he was good, you know, when he was, you know, at least cognizant.
Yeah.
But it was almost unfair in a way.
It was unfair. And I think, and you know, that was right after we have Tuesday night class. So at the end of class, we had this, how long is it going to take? Because we're so familiar with the archetype of what's going to occur now that he's physically going to be there. And then, you know, when it happened and how it happened and paying attention to the body language. And I think you won the bet on when he would, you know, the tipping point.
Well, it's funny. I thought maybe 20 minutes. And then I believe it was 19 minutes in. And I texted you and I'm like, he's going down. He's going down. And that was it. And then the rest of it was just like, oh my God, she was just masterful. And that's the thing. That's the benefit. You know, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the divine feminine and just how it looks from our perspective, you know, as women. And, you know, you were in a field where, you know, the majority of nurses were probably female, but you also had to deal with doctors who were probably the majority, at least at the beginning, male. Yeah. And so, you know, there's always that. And I'm a woman who lived in a man's world. Like when I graduated chiropractic college, only about a quarter of the people in the class were women. Yeah. So, you know, and most of the, and women, in my experience, deal with their patients different than men do. Men take it
Oh,
much
for
more
sure.
as business, and
Yeah.
women tend to take it as the women I know anyway, as a calling, you know.
Yeah.
So it comes from like a little bit of a different place, but we
When
often
did you, I'm sorry to interrupt. When did you graduate chiropractic college?
1987.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
The 80s.
And this was that was the point that is when I graduated nursing school. And it was mostly women nurses. And I had one male student nurse, and he was always my clinical partner because I could handle him. It's like you could take care of that one.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, they partnered because it was it was very uncomfortable for everybody. And I think, what are we looking at? Pluto and Capricorn. There's something, or Mars and Cancer, something that is connected to this 1987 to 89 thing where you're kind of reflecting. And in that time of practice was when we started to see women doctors
Right.
like creep up and start to become leaders. And then the nursing leadership would be more half and half men and women. It was that time. And I think when we saw that women had to be it was hard.
Yes.
It was hard. It was hard. Yeah. I mean, everything they had, it was that time where they had, 38-hour shifts or something ridiculous. And they got called on every 10 minutes. It was that kind of intense residency. They don't do that now.
Right. Right.
And the women had to, prove they were just as strong and amazing and smart and uh, emotionally, it was like double the work.
Well, I find that most women have to work about twice as hard
Yeah.
to get even close to where men. And I've never worked in corporate America, so I can't really speak to that. But I know just in general that we work, and there's also, when you're coming from the position of the underdog all the time, and it's not like, oh, I'm a woman, so I'm a victim of patriarchy. It's not really about that. It's about just really having to be willing to come up against you know uh, I don't know, I would call it a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not distrust, skepticism. I'll
Yeah.
never forget one of the first. I worked for a chiropractor. My first 2 years of practice, I worked for somebody down the Jersey Shore, and he had a lot of very rich clients, and he made, and of course I was the new doctor, so I had to do all the exams and all the X-rays, and they make you do all that. They get to do all the fun, and you get to do all the grunt work, which I didn't mind because I was learning. And I walked in, and there was this. He was like a bank president, and he's obviously somebody who's used to like, work, dealing with rich people. And he looked at me. He said, "You're the doctor?" I said, well, "That's what I told my parents when they spent $100,000 on my education." And I started to crack up, and he just like looked at me like I had three heads. I was like,
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
like, uh-oh.
Yep.
This guy's not taking a joke. But yeah, so I had my comeuppance, but it was really so beautiful to see somebody who had, like they're like, she has to do this, she had all the
Yeah.
expectations around Kamala, and all he had to do was keep his mouth shut and
Yeah.
not be a maniac.
I
And
think that same pattern is repeating itself where she has to be as good but better,
oh, way better.
right? So it's a reflection of this 87 to 89 Pluto thing. I can't remember where I read it or saw it. It kind of all melted together because I have astrology videos sometimes just on, and I'm, on the phone
Yeah.
for an hour, and then I come back. I don't even know what they're talking about
Well,
anymore.
there was a couple of things happened. Like in '89, we had the Neptune Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, and while Capricorn is a Earth sign, and it is Earth is female in astrology, Capricorn is often seen as the father knows best kind of energy,
Yeah,
and Saturn is structure and Neptune is dissolution of structure. So that was sort of the start of the breakdown of that, and that whole like hierarchical structure has been dissolving away,
yeah,
like probably of course longer than that, but of the times that I'm thinking, um 88 was big, 89 was big, and then 93 we had Neptune and Uranus conjoined in Capricorn. So there was a lot of dissolution of the sort of Capricorn, hierarchical sort of idea of power. And
yeah.
now with Pluto in the last degree of Capricorn,
Yes.
and
It's that, I think, and it's Mars and Cancer as well has this whole same kind of vibe, like changing your space, your practice, your homeland, serving your community kind of thing. I think it's
right.
the Mars and Cancer thing going on as well. But yeah,
And of course,
it's
and of
a
course, Mars right now in Cancer is square the node, and the North Node is ruled by Mars. So we're kind of in a point where we're stuck between the past and the future.
yeah,
And the interesting thing about it is when you evaluate it through the lens of evolutionary astrology and you look for the resolution of this conundrum of being stuck between the past and the future, the resolution is the North Node in Aries. And so the future, it's about a vision for the future, as opposed to you know that's really the direction that we're
yeah,
being asked to move. And it takes a certain amount of faith. And the thing about Cancer is its emotions, and Mars is about like the gathering of strength. So the feeling that we have right now is enormous, and we have a choice between a feeling of hope, gratitude, love, unity, or fear,
yeah.
which which of course where my bets are on.
Yeah, honestly, but this is really nicely sort of tying in with that Kamala's wanting to buy a house plan that she's projecting out there, because that is the biggest problem that people have is they can't afford to live. They can't afford to pay rent. They can't afford a mortgage. They could afford a mortgage, but they can't afford to eat. It's like,
Yeah, and a
those
lot of
kinds
big
of things.
houses, people are
That's a
selling
Mars
it.
and Cancer. That's a Mars and Cancer thing. So this timing is really perfect to want to tell people that you'll be able to do those things. You'll be able to afford a house and eat and live your best life.
I think there also has to be some sort of controls over these people who buy houses and then shoot up the rent to these astronomical prices. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, all these, there's nothing wrong with somebody who's flipping houses. If you enjoy that, then you do it. But it's like there is a point where, you know, the investment property, I
Yeah.
think there needs to be some controls on that. And I think the real estate market really needs to be somehow managed a little bit better. Um, and
I
I
think
think that's part of the problem as well.
that's gentrification. You just explained it. That's it.
And
Right?
there are, I mean, there's a lot of
Raise
buildings.
the rent. So only people that can afford to live there are people that have jobs that are six figures or more. And that rules out a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people are, at the point of, and then it'd be one thing if it was
Right?
like if we had healthcare that was covered, like socialized medicine or Medicare for all, because then we wouldn't have to worry about the like $500 or $1,000 people are putting out for medical care. At
Yeah.
least we have Obamacare, so there's some opportunity there, but
Yeah.
still, it's not good. If you're poor, you're okay with Obamacare, unless you're in a state where they don't want the Medicare expansion, which is generally red, which are the people who need it the most, honestly.
Right.
And then if you're like upper middle, it's a real like you have to do this, it's a real burden for people, and healthcare should never be for profit, period, end of story, end of story.
It's not an option.
I
It's
know.
not an option. You literally pick options. How much do you want to spend on your option? It is a right.
It's a human right,
It is a human right across the board.
just like
Health
feeding,
care.
just like feeding. I mean, I
It's
think
not an option.
the Harris Walls ticket is just phenomenal for that. I mean,
I
they
hope so.
really have a sense of taking care of families, and
Yeah.
it's weird because that's what's his name says he wants to do, and he's just, I don't know, he's such a weirdo.
Doesn't even the perseverance is out of control. He really has some neurological damage. We've got to give that some kind of consideration
Oh, I was
because
talking about Vance.
Vance, like
Oh yeah, I mean,
he's,
Trump is he's cognitively,
yeah,
he's definitely, I'm not a neurologist, but I did have a mother who had dementia at the end, and she was good for 20 minutes, and then bloop, off the cliff she went.
yeah, yeah. But she triggered him though. I mean, she didn't have to. I would have laughed so he could hear me laugh, because if he heard the laughter that generated a vortex at that moment, it did, because everybody I asked, did you watch it? Laughed out loud. I'm like, it actually created a hole in the universe. That's how hard the laughter was that night. With the cat dog thing, unfortunately, it's turned into another coup.
Well, I mean, it's never good. As funny as it is, I mean, the Haitians as a group. I mean, I've had the pleasure to treat them as patients and know them as people. They're one of the hardest working groups of people that I've met. They'll have like 3 jobs. It's like Jamaicans are the same. Like when people from Jamaica or the Caribbean are like that, you're like,
This is directly a threat to Kamala's heritage.
well, yeah, perhaps, yeah, yeah. And I don't know. We don't have a good, we don't have a good record with the Haitians anyway. And I think it's just a convenient. And I was listening today about that,
Okay.
and a lot of the people who are employing these Haitians say they're great workers. They're no problem. There's just a uh, it's fear mongering, and somebody's going to get hurt. I'm concerned that there's going to be some sort of incident um,
There already
against.
has been in Ohio, in Springfield. The people are pulling their kids from school. They're getting threats. It's all, directed at children. It's like, it's so, because it's like another thing. Like they're afraid of these immigrant children in Springfield, Ohio. I mean, it started a whole thing because he got laughed at. He got
Well,
laughed at.
and then I think Vance just made it worse. Vance did not. You think Vance would like quell some of it because he's from Ohio and he's the senator from Ohio. But no, he just poured gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that because I don't work that way. I'm in the business of
Of course
healing
not.
and
Right.
not hurting. So, but you have to be so wounded to do that. I can't.
It is definitely a manifestation of weakness. I think that's exactly what you recognize. It's such a weak sophomoric move, right? That's what you recognize. Yeah. So at least acknowledge that and laugh it off. But honestly, it's just such a clown show. And I don't like the circus. You know?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I'm just
So,
kind of teasing out this new deck as we talk, because I got this deck today, this on the artist decoded tarot, I guess, is, and it's very new, and I barely got a chance to sort of go through the cards before I fell asleep and took a nap. So that's all. The only thing I have is the smell of the new cards. It's a very, very thick cardstock, so the deck feels like it's this big. I'm just trying to like tease them apart, move them around, kind of as we talk, so that they get used to the sound of my voice. As we kind of break in a new deck, this is kind of how I do that.
so some of the comments. Antoinette's granddaughter says, "Corporate jobs still aren't great for women. I'm glad I'm retired,
Yeah.
but it was hell for a while. Yeah, it's hard. And there's this whole like you would like to think that there'd be a sisterhood in these places, but they set it up so that they make us want to like rip each other's eyeballs out.
Some places do and some places don't. It's hard, I think pretty much, yeah, in my profession there's a lot of that. The bigger the staff, of course, there's always somebody that is not really your friend.
Right.
There's always going to be people like that.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why I always did my own thing because I even when I would go to church as a youngster, I couldn't see on the politics of it.
Yeah.
People just like trying to undercut each other and it seems like a waste of energy and time to me. I mean, cooperation is so much easier. And well, at least for me it was. I would rather like cooperate with the people I work with so we could get some more work done. But
I have to say, I think leadership is going in that direction.
oh yeah. Yeah,
the places that are successful are going in that direction.
Yeah, it's well, I think one of the things that is I've always liked Kamala Harris, and so I've sort of followed her, but I didn't really know her whole story. I didn't know, but she works a lot with consensus. Like she gets groups of people together for the ideas, and that's how she gets a lot of her. It's like what brainstorming, and that's the best way. She's talking about putting a Republican in her, in her I don't know if it's cabinet position. It may not be cabinet, but just to help her with stuff. And I think that's a good idea. If anybody can work that, I think it's her. Because after what she did to Trump, I don't think anyone would dare like sass her back because she would just lay them flat with a smile on her face and just a sweetness. Some of her expressions. There's this meme that's got like 10, which one's your favorite Kamala expression?
Mm-hmm.
And of course I like the one where she was boring holes into his brain, but there's another one where she's just sort of looking like, oh, What's that thing they say in down the South? Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart, right? It's like he
Mm-hmm.
can't help to be so stupid. I mean, it almost, I know, I hope I don't get blowback from this. It almost felt like elder abuse.
You know what? At some point, you do feel like, oh, I don't that I feel sorry for this guy now, right?
Yeah, not, but only for a
Wow.
minute, only for a minute. Yeah.
Just that if this is the most viable candidate you can come up with. I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's not about viability. I mean, he's been the head of the Republican Party. They're like lemmings running off the cliff. I mean,
oh my
the whole
God.
party is just it's kind of sad in a way, because the Republicans haven't always been bad. They've just been bad since Reagan. That's all. No,
This is
not
true.
Reagan. Not Reagan. The other guy. What's his name?
Bush.
Nixon. Nixon.
Oh,
The original criminal.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Well,
It's
as long as I've been alive, let's say, right? I think the first Republican president in my lifetime was Nixon. And the last one might be Trump. So that's quite that's, I mean, I guess
I
George,
remember back to Nixon. I remember him. What a big deal it was. That was a big deal
I
when,
remember when he stepped down,
yeah,
I remember exactly where I was. I was in my aunt's kitchen. She
yeah,
had a little like portable black and white TV on one of those TV stands they used to have in the
yeah,
70s. And we watched it because my whole family were Republicans. And I remember seeing him like he was sweating, his lip was sweating,
yeah,
and I was, when you're a kid, you're like, ew, like that's what I remember.
yeah,
But I remember the heaviness of that, and
yeah.
yeah, it was. And then I do remember how it felt like when Watergate happened, and then we got Jimmy Carter, and that
Yeah.
was, it was tough because of the gas stuff, but I thought he was a pretty good president. I liked him.
I liked him too. I liked him too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely remember the Nixon when that stuff. This is where the energy generates. Remember, a lot of the cards we pulled for the convention kind of mirror, or I'm sorry, the debate mirrored the debate from when Biden stepped down. And I'm like, why isn't that narrative being generated? Because we're just laughing at you right now, or you just cannot. He's not going to step down. He's not going to. He won't.
Well, I guess they're having a heart attack because this Laura Loomer character is
That's definitely a wrench thrown uh, in this like square wheel, right? And definitely got a wrench in there with this Loomer person. I've known nothing about this until it's starting to pop up in my feed. And watching, Midas Touch and Brian Tyler Cohen. Those are kind of my sources for these condensed
oh.
clips and short videos of what I can see is going on. They're definitely biased, but I just need to laugh in the morning sometimes. So where we were talking about, I forgot what we were talking about.
Laura Loomer. Somebody just said
Yeah,
Cheryl said she just saw that Loomer has been banned from the former guy's plane and from any physical contact with him. Apparently, the physical contact part is being stressed.
yeah, and
They've taken his playmate away. Oh my goodness.
so now they're banishing her from the kingdom because they realize she's she's not an asset to this campaign. They just realize this now. It's like these things are so bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say this, but I know it's going to come up that, you know, he's been bringing up, what's her name? Clinton's mistress.
Flowers, Jennifer Flowers. Oh,
No.
no, the other one, Monica Lewinsky.
He's been using that name, or running around using that name. I wonder if this Loomer person has gotten to be more personal than just a bad advisor.
I don't know. Maybe she's the chosen one.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
It would be worth seeing. It would worth seeing her and MTG have, like, you know, one of those dynasty cat fights in the
Apparently,
in the fountain in front of the mansion. That'd be great.
Apparently, she's lost his favor over his, you know, attention with this one. I did see that.
Somebody says she's mentally unstable.
It's so clear. It's so clear. It's almost exploiting it.
Oh,
That's
Trump
how
and Vance are mentally unstable too. Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's so funny that the Republicans blame everything on mental illness. Oh, I guess
It really
takes one to know one. I don't know, and nothing. You know, I mean, true mental illness is a very. It's not to be, you know, toy. It's not really to be.
yeah.
You know, I've had my experience with family members with that, and it's the worst kind, because when you can't reason with somebody, you have no place to go. Like, there's nothing to hold on to, because the whole concept is messed up. I think they're just
it's undertreated. We don't treat mental illness like we treat physical illness. It's completely undertreated.
And really, I think mental illness is trauma. And what's happening is that you can, in some cases, this is not all cases, but you can convince yourself of anything in avoidance of your true feelings. And with Mars in Cancer, and then Mars is going to be retrograde.
It's going to be in Cancer a long time.
It's in Cancer, yeah. You know, it just went into Cancer now. It doesn't get out of Cancer probably till at least 6 months. It's going to be either in Cancer or Leo. And for Trump, that's his 12th house of undoing, his undoing.
Well, he better not. Yeah.
And also maybe even Vance's, because Vance is a Leo rising as well. Him and Trump have a very similar chart.
Right. We did that. We looked at both of those together.
Yeah. You know, all about them. Everything is them. It's all on one side of the chart. Whereas, you know, Kamala has this beautiful 6-pointed star, and it's a Merkaba, and, you know, she's just together. You know, she's got a good heart, and she's got a brilliant mind. I mean, the mind and heart come together like that.
I don't know. You know what? I mean, it's so clear which one is going to have some kind of direction. And I'm afraid to put her too much on a pedestal, because this is the most difficult hurdle. It's not this whole election time. It's going to be like the next 4 years, and having pushback, because she is the first woman. She's a woman of color. All of that stuff that happened when we started practice, right? And we were a different gender. And it's like you have to make yourself appear even stronger. Mm-hmm. So this is hard. I'm afraid I don't want her to look old in a year. How they all age. I've already thought of that. I'm like, how is she going to look at the end of her term when it's visible and that you can see that this highly stressful job affects the physical well-being of the person, and you're taken care of very well. There's still visible decline. Obama got all kinds of gray hair.
Right.
All
Well, he
kinds
was in for 8 years too. So
and he was in
I
for
mean,
8 years.
when you look at him when he won, you think, oh my God, he's like a baby. Like he looked
Yes.
like a little kid. You're like, what?
Yes. Right. So I'm already thinking about how she's going to look and how this is going to age you. This is a lot. There'll be people just being assholes because they're assholes. Right.
Well, I think really, for the most part, your first 2 years as president is when you can get anything done. Once you lose the House or lose the Senate, you can't. So it's so very important that she has both houses, because if she doesn't have both houses, she's going to have a lot of trouble getting what she wants to get done. And these morons are still going to be in there, the MTGs and all these other hoo-has. They're all going to still be in there. But I don't know. There's just there. I saw Johnson was. I saw a picture. Eric Swalwell was ripping Johnson a new one, because, and there was a picture of Trump and a duck and a kitty cat. And
I saw that.
did you see that? And he's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, oh God. And every time I see Johnson and he says something like he was saying about Trump, oh, it was 3-1. It was the thing. She wasn't fact checked. Well, that's because she didn't lie every like 4 minutes, but okay, or 4 seconds maybe. And every time I see him and he has to say something that he doesn't really want to have to say, he looks like he's going to explode. Like if you took a pin and you pricked him, he would just. And I think to myself, how can anybody be so out of alignment with themselves? I just, of course, I've spent my whole career putting people in alignment, so maybe that's why I don't understand it.
I don't know. Because it works for them. You know what I mean? Like, why does an alcoholic pick up a drink? Because it works for them.
Yeah.
And everybody can see that there's a deterioration, but it still works for them until it doesn't. So they're going to have that same sort of mindset, attitude. And honestly, I think it's just to piss us off because this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous now. It has to be cleaned out. When I think about the Republican Party, and the repeat theme in my head is always this bleach kind of thing. I don't know what Jupiter is doing, but ammonia is high in the factor there. Everything's kind of this ochre color. If you look at the like hierarchy of what was going on here, it's just, I totally missed what I was just about to say too. I completely missed it.
You were in the ochre color, last I heard.
Yeah, everything is like, I'm thinking about where's Jupiter in this whole thing, because there's some kind of connection to this.
Well, Jupiter is Jupiter is on Trump's North Node.
Okay, so maybe it is like that ammonia thing. It needs to be cleaned. The Republican Party needs to be cleaned out and disinfected. I've always had that running thing going on.
Well, they're awful.
I'm sure he smells like ammonia.
Well, he probably smells like piss.
That's the same thing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And they're so pissed off. Like everybody's pissed off. Like all this pissing is gonna stink like piss. I'm sorry to say. Right? I'm sorry to say.
Maybe he squeezed.
When I think of the Democrats and I think of a smell, I think of jasmine. Like
really?
Yeah, just like some exotic, you know. I would love to know what, and this might sound kind of weird, and I'm not weird because I'm a Democrat, but I would love to know how Kamala smells. Like, does she smell like
Powder.
jasmine, sandalwood, and
No, she's very powdery. She doesn't like all that stuff, I don't think.
oh my goodness. Well, I'm sure there's a
Very,
website
a very
that will
powdery.
tell you all of the perfume that she wears, what designers she likes to wear, all that stuff. It'll be nice to see her in a gown when she um
Do you think she'll wear pants?
no, I think she'll wear a gown for the party anyway. For the pantsuit nation. I'm gonna have to get a couple of pantsuits now. I haven't worn a pantsuit since the 80s.
Yeah, I don't think I could put that together. I don't think I could put that look together. But it's, I see other people wear it all the time. I'm sure it's very comfortable.
Trump couldn't bully Kamala, so he bullied the moderators. And
Oh,
how about the fact that he said she puts out?
I didn't even hear that. I
Oh,
absolutely
I did. I was like,
raised over that and ignored it because I'm like, I'm not going to get in that rabbit hole because that's ridiculous. But the dog and cat one with the memes that follow made me laugh so hard. I kind of just followed that one. There was a microphone in the earbud thing or an earring mic
oh,
or
the
something.
earring, yeah.
And she was getting fed answers. There's like this stories going on.
I like one of my favorite lines was, she doesn't have big things. She busses those people in. She pays them to be there. I'm like, oh, you stop telling your secrets, Donnie.
That's
Of
where I
course,
was
that's not a
wondering.
secret.
That's what, and I believe I saw that in the questions as well, or somebody was asking. That's why I was asking about Monica Lewinsky, because for some reason this is being brought up, or her name, like that's like not just pulled from nowhere. I thought, that's interesting because now Laura Loomer's sort of like in this weird little circle. And I thought, oh, maybe she's replacing Melania. And these like little things that I say to the video when I'm like, yeah, maybe she's going to replace from, Melania in my own little gossip bubble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I guess I don't know. It's just, I just cannot really honestly wait for it to be over and for him to just disappear. It strikes me that, we're still talking about this asshole. Oh,
I know,
am I
right?
allowed to say that online?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's like, ugh. But I'd like to like focus on the idea of uh, women coming into their power now, things starting to really change. I mean, it's been changing for a long time. I mean, the suffragettes, when did they start? In the 1800s, I think. So, but
It has been, but I think it's hard, and you have to be supportive, and um, you know, we have to support one another. I think the most important thing is there's got to be a learning curve that totally is going to, blow you out of the water on that job. So give it a minute.
yeah.
Give it a minute. We already know she is the best person qualified in, in a mile. I mean, Biden is not, and is active anymore.
Well, I think Biden is good at the things that Biden is good at.
Yeah.
And debating has never been a strong suit. He had a stutter. He's 80 years old. I mean, and the amount of stress that man was under, and then having to run, it just didn't seem like it was a good idea, honestly. And I didn't want them to you know, I always thought Kamala would take over from him, but I thought it would be after he won. But you know, things accelerated. Things are happening a lot faster, and
Yeah.
it's hard. And you know, we're exposed to the in a way the same people who vibrate and think the way we do, whether we like it or not. It's really hard to get out of your algorithm, so to speak. And so we're not always up on what's going on in the other, you know, corners of things. Like I don't know anything about Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know anything about his. I know he has a lot of bros and all he and the fighting and all that stuff, all that
Mhm.
testosterone. Um, you know, but it's just, you know, I think there's a big gender gap with this, right? But I think that we have to like start like figuring out um we have to attend to the masculine's wounds, you know, Chiron and Aries. We have to deal with the wounded masculine and the need to bully. And you know, it's the United States wound as well. We're in the middle of a Chiron return, so
Yeah.
we're dealing with that. And we're bullies. I mean, we've bullied. I mean, ask anybody from South America and Central America how good America's been to them. You know, maybe we saved France and England, you know, from the Nazis, but we've, you know, every opportunity has have undermined South America and Central America, and all that stuff is coming back. It's, you know, it's all as
Yeah.
you sow, so shall you reap. It's all coming back for us, and we have to figure out a way to navigate this sort of new world. And climate change is not going to make things more stable. So we have to figure out a way that we can both work with each other, protect ourselves,
Yeah.
and start making changes because we create most of the greenhouse gases. I
Yeah.
think our lifestyle is, you know, it's nice to have a middle class. It's nice to have to get your kids educated. It's nice to have food. It's nice to have a place to live. But
Yeah.
you know, um, I don't know. There's definitely going to be a leveling off of a lot of that. And I think like I don't have children, and I know that you do. So you have more of an ear to the ground when it comes to what these kids are up against. And you know, they're much more
They
collective,
can't, yeah,
much
they
more
can't live on
cooperative.
their own. They can't be independent for a long, long time. You know, and that's how it is. Like it's that whole buying a house thing. The only house they could own is the houses they inherit.
Kathy says she can't see Kamala in a dress. I saw her in a gown. She looked pretty hot,
I
but
kind of can't either.
a while back.
I kind of can't either. I'm trying to picture what it was. It her wedding dress that I saw her
I
in.
saw her in a little black number with like a midriff. It looked really cool. It must have been when she was in San Francisco, I think. Probably when she met Doug or something like that. It's probably one of those.
Doug. Oh,
He is such a cutie patootie, that guy.
oh
He
my
just
goodness.
he's he's so funny.
He's like just deadpan. My kid heard him speak at the after party that the governor had. And he's just so deadpan. He's like, he has no inflection in his voice whatsoever. He's just Doug. He's just Doug.
Well, that's good because she's got enough inflection to like the whole cabinet.
And that would make him a good attorney too. You
Yes,
know, one
yes,
that
you have to have a very
has been able to mask every emotion that, that's would be a good attorney. That's what he did his whole life. And it just bleeds into your, everyday life, I'm sure. Somebody asked in the questions, I'm going to go turn the light on because it's going to get dark pretty soon. If there's going to be something big next week, like really big. And I'm like,
an eclipse.
well, besides
Astrologically or
that,
just
yeah,
in general?
that is a big that is a big thing. And it's also the moon is in Pisces, the full moon. And we're going to record that on Monday about the whole full moon thing and
Yeah,
in
we're going to be
Pisces,
doing Moonshine on your channel
the
Monday.
relationship of that and how that's going to affect you. But let me turn on this light so that I can see what I'm doing here.
And I'm going to be putting out the week ahead after this, after we're done here. So if you want to know what's coming up for the next week, there are a couple of big things going on next week. Not the least of which is the eclipse. Eclipse season is back, and it is a full. It's going to be a lunar eclipse. It's not total, so but
The
it is
moon is not going to look full, in other words, right? So it's going to be have some partial eclipse of, so it's like
right.
full moon, but it's not going to look full. But it
Right.
does occur like late at night. So you're like, oh, this would be like the time to look at the full moon. It's not going to look full.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't look at it anyway.
Yeah, in Pisces, that's my moon, and that's your Mars actually. No. You have Mars in Virgo. It's opposite. Oh, the sun is on your Mars.
Yeah.
How are you with the sun on your Mars? You feeling energetic?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been walking a lot. Yeah.
Good.
Got a lot of energy. Working a lot this week.
One of those weeks, yeah. Me too. We're going to be starting our introduction to the Kabbalah class on Thursday. If anybody's here who's doing it, I'm excited. Kabbalah students, I love the Kabbalah. It's so much fun. Climbing the tree of life. It's the only kind of tree I can climb now without killing myself.
Oh gosh. I have to start another series of the trees changing because they're actually starting to change.
Yeah, here too.
And I want to just set up the tripod so the camera's in the same angle every day. And I, whatever time of day I can get it will change, but it should be an everyday thing. I think I have enough for a row of sunrises, which are different every day. So I'm going to do a couple of those kinds of things. And then, our video for giblets, our time out with giblets.
Yes, tomorrow,
morning.
right? Tomorrow morning. I wait for that one. I'm like, I can't face my week without seeing Jibs, honestly. I mean, you too, of course, naturally.
It's all about the dog. But it was an interesting week. Did anything interesting happen to you that you're like, oh, remember this? Write this down kind of thing?
Really just my wildest imaginings of how things were going to work out actually worked out just the way I thought they would. And it made me realize that I just have to like trust the vision. Trust the vision. And I think that there's a part of us that needs to have the vision. And then there's the part of us that needs to work within the parameters of the life we're in without losing the vision and sort of in a way connecting all the things that you do to the vision of the life that you want to create, the world you want to create, the kind of country. Most of the people who hang out with us are politically in the know. I don't know. I'd call anybody a political junkie, but we understand the value of leadership and what it means. And when leadership goes, there was always this sense that no matter how bad a president was, we would be able to like make it through. But Trump completely disrupted that because it's just such a.
How did the bar get so freaking low? The bar got really low. So
I think the bar was always low in a way on that side of the bar, but I don't think we imagined that it wasn't. Like we always, I don't know about you, but I always like, as if we go by the Sibley chart, the United States is a Sag rising chart. Sag always sees the glass half full.
yeah.
So it's like, oh, there's an optimism, there's an adventure, there's a pull you up by your own bootstraps kind of energy with America, right? And it's like this. I was trying to remember. I was talking to Marianne from Revealing Light once, and I wrote her something and telling her what a superstar she was. And she's like, "You Americans, you're like all about the superstar stuff." And I was like, no, that's not really what it is. You're just like your star is shining. Shine your star, man.
Yeah.
It's the place. It really is sort of the land of opportunity in a way.
Yeah.
And but we can't take our opportunities and not take care of each other. It's like that's what makes it really is a large area of many different kinds of people with coming from many different backgrounds. It's not really a melting pot.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a paella. Some of people are rice, and some people are shrimp, and some people are sausage, and some people. The people from Chicago, those are the sausage. They're good with the sausage,
They're
right?
serious about it. They're
Yeah,
serious about it.
serious about people down from Louisiana. They're the shrimp and the paella.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's the vendors at the farmers markets and stuff. They're serious about the sausage. It's kind of a thing, making your own sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. But with any of those kind of dishes, the more things sit together and marinate with each other, the better they taste. Right? So it's really about giving ourselves the time to kind of get to know each other. I mean, I think block parties need to be a thing. Once walls and there used to be the fireside chats
Hmm.
with what's his name, and we'll have at the fire pit, and making s'mores, and I think they need like something like that where they can go play.
No, it's so funny that you say that because I cannot get it out of my head that Tim Balls reminds me of the guy that started
Wendy's,
Wendy's, Dave
yeah,
Thomas.
I love Dave Thomas.
And I just said yesterday because he kind of smells like cookies, like he started a cookie company, that kind of sort of feeling, Dave Thomas, Wendy's. And there you are, like with the marshmallows and s'mores. That is his signature. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Um, Dave Thomas was an orphan, and that's why he would always donate to for adoption and stuff like that. Yeah, very 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 sweet man,
Yeah.
very nice guy,
Same
and
kind of thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
somebody who takes care of well, anybody who takes care of other people's children, it gets a gold star in my book.
yeah.
And I come from a family of teachers, so um and service, either we have teachers, we have a few lawyers, we have a few doctors, that kind of thing, all in service. Though it's all service stuff. Well, we have like one money guy, and he's a Trumpster.
You do fall into that thing where you protect what you're afraid you might lose.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think that Trump gave people some kind of false security about that. You're not going to lose everything that you work so hard to earn. I think boomers have a wound in that area also, regardless of anything else. Just generationally, have this. What were you programmed to do? Work your ass off and save up enough money so somebody else can inherit it.
Right.
Now they're like, spend your inheritance, screw your kids.
Well, a lot of them go into a lot of that generation are going into uh, like assisted living, and that's where their money goes. Their kids don't get.
Yes, it
There's no
is.
generational wealth anymore because the middle class has been hollowed out. You can't. You
Mhm.
can't. And then if you want to get an education, you can, but it costs a lot of money, and you can't get rid of that debt.
Yeah,
That is debt you cannot get rid. The only thing you cannot get rid of in bankruptcy is student loan debt and taxes.
yeah,
So if you have, going to college is when I graduated, in 87, I think it was between college and chiropractic college, probably about $150,000. Um, Luckily, I got some help. I got some grants. I got some um, what do you call those when they give you money to go to school? It's not a grant. Scholarships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how And then my parents, we lived in an apartment, and my parents it was like a family owned house, so their rent was very, very low, so they could afford to send me to school, and they could afford to help me with a good education. I was very, very lucky, but most people can't do that, and I was only one child. That's why I had the benefit of that.
Vicki, my nursing school cost me $4,000 a year.
I'm sure it's nothing like that now.
So affordable.
Yeah.
I think there's some online courses that are affordable if you're doing like a bachelor's degree to a master's degree, or to a nurse practitioner. They're what you've already earned, you get credit for, so you only have to take certain courses. But college was affordable. It wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah, I think if you went to state college when we were going to school, maybe it would cost you $5,000 a year. And if you like stayed there, now it's like, I don't know what it is. I know it's like it's way crazy.
Yeah.
And then you get out, and do you have a job? We have a friend, a mutual friend whose kids are on YouTube and made a lot of money that way, and bought I don't know, like it wasn't $1 million house, but they probably could have afforded $1 million house at like 23.
Yeah.
Right. But they didn't go to college because they're like, why go to college? Because,
it's about your skill set, more or less. I think you're going to see more of that, and not your academia.
Well, my feeling about college, honestly, is that college is there to teach you how different everybody is. Like, it's not the degree as much of it is the experience, to meet new people, to see how other people live, to explore new ideas, to expand your mind. I mean, that's really what school's supposed to be
That
about.
is that window, right? Between like 18 and 23.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's just a mumble grumble. What is that?
I have no idea what that is. Oh, this ain't good.
It sounds terrible.
I'm awfully sorry about that.
Is that it
I
outside?
should have said something, but I'm not trying to be biased or anything like that. But it is Mexican Independence
Oh,
weekend, and the motorcycle guys are on Lakeshore Drive, and they are the ones that are organ donors. I hope you all sign the back of your licenses. Honest to God, this makes me crazy. They're the ones that do all the tricks, go through red lights. It's a pack of them, probably 100 bikes, and
yeah.
they just started to go that way. So
That's okay, darling.
all that stuff is kind of active right now.
In New York City, when they have the Puerto Rican Day Parade, they put up like sheets of plywood over like the lower part of Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, although I've never been to the Puerto Rican Day Parade because I never knew I was Puerto Rican when I was living in New Jersey and New York. So
Yeah.
I think one time I went to St. Patrick's Day Parade, and that wasn't fun either because everybody was drunk. I don't like being around drunk people.
Oh my gosh. It's honestly, some of the retail people around here, I think, should have licensed social work degrees, because Cubs games and concerts and pub crawls, the race for Wrigley was today. So I was landlocked, and there was an art festival that had the manhole covers covered. And it was like, there was like this gas smell, but it was because people throw junk down the sewer. So they covered up all the manholes down
Wow.
the streets.
I don't, it's been a long time since I lived in the city, but I honestly don't miss it a bit. The thing that bothered me most about the city was, well, the noise and the smell. Other
Onion.
than that, other than that, it was great because you knew people. He was always somebody to talk to or something to look at, or it was exciting in that way. But I'm kind of I'm a big nose person, and I'm also
Yeah.
a big it has to be quiet person, and it doesn't. I'm on Main
Onion.
Street here, and when like on the weekends we have especially a nice day like tomorrow's supposed to be nice. There'll be like 50 bikes going down, motorcycles going down the street for sure. So
It's
the other
really,
night I heard some terrible sound going down the street. I don't it sounded like a tank was going down the street. That's what it sounded like. I
that
was
is,
too scared to look out the window. I was like weirded out by the whole thing.
yeah, it's very, very active. And honestly, and it's one of those things that was on, our Friday newsletter was these are the events that are going on. So hopefully we're staffed adequately. Meaning, you know, stupid shit.
Somebody was mentioning in the comments how it seems like a lot of really dark energy has been released into in the last. Well, I would say I noticed it. The first time I really noticed it was 2012 after the Sandy Hook shooting. I could feel that there was a lot of darkness there. And then in when ISIS came into power in 2015, that's when I felt us. But we in a way, America went into Iraq, and I think we uncovered some pretty dark energy there.
I
Honestly,
think also there's all, what we get away with saying on social media. And since then, all the platforms that have expanded our freedom of speech and allow people to say whatever and get away with whatever they are thinking has opened a window of negativity. Because you can get away with saying things that you would never say face to face. And yeah, I believe that's true.
so you want to pull some cards to see what do you want to know?
I don't
Pull
know. What
some
do you
cards.
want?
Pull some cards on with that deck. And I think I'll pull a Mystic Sister to see what's the energy of the upcoming week. Oops.
What am I pulling a card on? Upcoming week?
Whatever you want. What if that's coming?
Yeah, I do. I do because there's moon and there's the closer we get to this election, the more focused attention our attention is going to be on nuances and extreme things, most dividing things, I'm sure. And with the lunar eclipse and stuff, it's going to be an interesting week. Is every week like just the coolest, most interesting week ever?
Well, at least we're on the upswing. At least we're on the upswing.
Yeah. Yes. This one kind of leaned in on me here. These are heavy cards. There's like two of them. The one that kind of touched my hands there was Four of Cups. And this is it. This is that new deck. So it is somebody that is walking away. All the people in this deck are just silhouettes. They have no faces. So I really kind of lean into that. Four of Cups. So not satisfied with what is being offered to you. And then the Eight of Wands, which is what I got last week also, which is a lot of information coming in. So it's going to be one of those weeks. Virgo's or Mercury's in Virgo, which is a good place to generate some decent.
Mercury actually just came out of its shadow.
Oh, okay.
I think on Friday. Came out of it Friday or Thursday or Friday.
Okay. So a lot of that in that direction.
We're seeing a lot of boundaries, I think, because we have some oppositions coming up. We have Saturn. We had Saturn Sun last week, and this coming week we have Saturn Mercury.
Okay.
All right. Looks like this is the card. Oh my God.
Tell me.
The Mystic Sisters.
Oh my God.
All right. We got the Mystic Sisters for next week.
I sent you a picture of that.
Are we going to do Saturday again? Because next Saturday will be on your channel.
Yes, we can do Saturday again. I'm working on Friday, so Saturday's good. That is when when I'm really kind of tired is when I allow more of that kind of stuff to sort of creep in. It's easier to divert it if I'm awake and alert. So that'll be a good night to do Mystic Sisters for a wrap up of a week. Which I think it's going to be interesting again. You know what? There might be somebody just walking away. I don't know who. The bottom of the deck, and this is like the new one sort of thing, is the Knight of Swords. So there might be somebody that's sort of cut off and walk away. Four of Cups, Eight of Wands, Knight of Swords. Some kind of communication is, cut off.
So Mystic Sisters, this is what the book says. It says psychic connections and shared visions. The Mystic Sisters, now listen, because the Mystic Sisters are speaking right now. The Mystic Sisters remind you to trust and value your closest friends. Seek their advice and offer yours to them. If you are not able to physically visit them, try connecting with them by psychic means. There are those special few who we meet in our lives with whom mysterious bonds form so deeply it feels like we've known each other's souls before in previous incarnations. These friendships offer lessons through which we can correct our karmic behavior. They awaken us to hidden gifts of character. Perhaps they have some aspect you admire but find lacking in yourself. All it may take to resolve your present issue is to channel your friend's nature. So I have to be a gal from Chicago this week, and you have to be a Jersey girl. Let their voices be a guide. Send them love and gratitude in return. So it's time for us to call in the Mystic Sisters, and we all are them, and we all have them, and you don't even have to be a lady.
I'd say definitely the awareness of past life connections.
Yes. Most
definitely. For sure.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. If you have any questions for next Mystic Sisters, you can Ona will put something up and you can ask questions. If you have any things that are on your mind that you might want to speak to. I think the week's wrap up is a good place because to do for these, because what a week, right? Every week is like, hey, what a week. But this was a good week. I feel at ease and at peace, and I feel like everything I've been saying for a long time now, at least a year, I'm seeing come to fruition. And even in my own life, like I have to apply everything I tell to people to my own life. Yeah. Otherwise, then you're just making stuff up, right?
Yeah. And we talk about like where the planets are, and you start applying those things to your week. Next thing you know, you're learning a new language.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the values of doing astrology,
Yeah.
is you can feel the energy, and you can translate that into, what the ephemera says or what the app says. So tonight the moon was in Aquarius, and we got out there a little bit, and it's a friendship moon. So I am grateful to have you as a friend, my mystic sister.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. We love you all.
Enjoy the cool week. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.